Can you talk through your fuel from the run, maybe what you would have changed? Thanks. So fuel strategy was basically have electrolytes and carbs on my person at all times so that I was tripling down on carbohydrate source, electrolyte source, and water source all at once. That's my tactic for everything, whether it's triathlon, ultra endurance. It's more bang for your buck in terms of space and practicality. It means that you don't need to carry water and then electrolyte tablets and then gels all at once. Obviously, you can carry those things supplementary, but it means that you're sort of tripling down. Along with that, I just had a wide selection of fast-acting carb sources available to me at all times. I had a wide selection of savory stuff like crisps, sandwiches, and other bits and bobs. We had pastries. It was basically a kind of a seafood diet. If I see the food, I eat the food. But what I did struggle with was I wish I'd had more access to sort of more wholesome, hot, savory food more regularly. Sandwiches were life-changing for me, and the hot meal that I had, the steak pie and chips that I had on Saturday late afternoon and early evening, was genuinely rejuvenating. So I think having mealtime savory, more wholesome foods ready to go in Tupperware pre-cooked would have been useful, but in my planning I sort of just chose bagels and sandwiches that were pre-made that were a bit easier. But I think I would have sacrificed a little bit of ease and convenience ahead of time for a little bit more morale-boosting food during. But you can't really science your way through this too much because you've got to deal with the human side of things, being awake for 50 hours and getting food continuously down you so that you've got 60 grams of carbs an hour on top of fluids and electrolytes. You can't just make a list and stick to it. Your body's going to say, don't you fucking dare put another crisp in your mouth because it will start bleeding, or your cheeks and tongue become a bit furry with this weird carbohydratey, sugary layer that's just horrible. Your stomach might give you GI issues. You might really struggle to get water down. You might feel really sloshy because of electrolytes. You need to be prepared and have options, but you need to roll with the punches. Obviously, you want to refine what's expected with the training process. But yeah, I had comments ahead of time of people saying that you should be eating this, you should be eating that. Make sure to have these whole foods. Make sure to have this. It's like it doesn't work like that. You can't be too practical and rational ahead of time for what is a massively variable and massively uncontrollable experience. So the best thing that you can do is have a wide range of options and act upon them as and when you find yourself in the situation that you need something, because then you're not going to find yourself cut short in terms of availability, and it means that you're not going to have to force something down on you that you don't want just for the sake of being able to keep moving forwards. I did probably fall behind a little bit at certain points with my food intake, which meant that for the first, there were a lot of like 19, 20K sections. And for the first like 10, there was a bit of a pattern for a while where the first 10 to 12K of a section felt really good. And then I'd drop off a fucking cliff and feel really, really bad for the last 8, which sets my morale. I'd then get back and reconnect with the team where I'd have some more food, get a big spike, and then repeat that process. It was just because I was kind of finding myself getting lasered in and really focused and kind of not sticking to my nutrition strategy as tiredness increased, which is to be expected, but that's on me. Ultimately, accountability. I should have been more rigid on that, and I made my life more difficult than it needed to be. But that's because of the human and behavioral side of things that goes into it, that you can say you must eat every 30 minutes for 48 to 50 hours. Okay, but there's lots of things that are going to be at play there that you need to manage. So that's where leaning into the lowest hanging fruit, most convenient, easily accessible, and most tasty within the context stuff is what's going to keep you moving forwards, because it just removes the friction. But you can only remove that friction if you have a wide range of options. So if anyone's thinking of running for 50 hours, then there you go. That's your information.